Okay. It was just after Mother's Day 2010 when it was suggested that Don and Jean Morris travel to Vietnam. And the title of this is Vietnam in the Year 2010 as Seen Through the Eyes of an 80-year-old Shell Beach Man from California. We left on May 31st, 2010, and this 19-day Vietnam trip was a revelation. Naively, I expected to see the country of Vietnam that was depicted on television 40 years ago during the Vietnam War. Fortunately, a rapid shift towards friendship has and is happening in Vietnam. On TV 40 years ago, we remember seeing Americans fighting for their lives. Lots of jungle, small cities, napalm, Agent Orange, and large bombs pounding North and South Vietnam. In talking to American Vietnam veterans, what I saw during the trip is not what they remember. During our 80 years of life, Jean and I have visited approximately 50 countries, and I have never been so wrong about my preconceived ideas of a people or their government or their country. Today, the Vietnam reality is far beyond and much better than those long ago memories. Americans are received with real warmth and friendship today, both in the North and in the South, yet Vietnam appears to be caught between the communism of the celebrated past and the draw of capitalism. To start our trip, we began at LAX International Airport. After being stopped by vigilant security guards and electronic monitors, my metal knee caused me to get some extra scrutiny, and I was frisked very carefully with groping hands and electronic wands. Then we were allowed to fly out of Los Angeles Airport on our first leg of our 25,000-mile journey. We were permitted to board the United Airlines flight that carried 376 passengers and flew at 665 miles per hour at 35,000 feet, with an outside temperature of a minus 45 degrees, and with a staff on the airplane to take care of our needs of 13 people, and 3 of the staff spoke a foreign language. Most of the passengers were asleep or working on their computers, and some 10 hours later, it was a relief to land in Japan and get to walk a couple of hours at the airport. Now we were ready for an additional 4-hour flight to Bangkok, Thailand. The entire round-trip program from LA and back to LA amounted to 16 takeoffs and landings in 19 days. All of the airports we saw in Japan and Vietnam and Thailand were cleaner, newer, and more efficient than Los Angeles International Airport. All the Vietnam aircraft were made in Europe. After staying the night in Bangkok, we were off on the final flight leg to Hanoi, Vietnam to start our trip to Vietnam. The 24-mile road from Bangkok Airport to downtown was 16 lanes wide with 8 lanes going each way with sophisticated turnoffs, way better than Los Angeles. Folks from around the world, including tourists from Denmark, England, France, Australia, New Zealand, Taiwan, and especially businessmen from China and Japan, were scattered throughout Vietnam. Fortunately, our guide, Nguyen Hu Quang, was an exceptional person, spoke good English, and took excellent care of us in this foreign environment. He pointed out that there could be 7 meanings of one Vietnamese word, depending on the tone. So to master the Vietnam language would be very, very difficult. We landed in Hanoi, and over 19 days we traveled by bus and airplane from the far north of Vietnam to Ho Chi Minh City, the old Saigon, in the south. To get from one end of Vietnam to the other, we took 4 different plane rides, the bus, and walked and rode cycle tour bikes, really Vietnam rickshaws. One of the most interesting parts of the trip was a visit to the University of Dalat. We had student guides that took us on a tour of the campus, and their eagerness to speak English was impressive. They wanted to keep in touch when we returned to the States, and I have already received several emails from them. A massage was $5 for an hour. Sometimes something I had never heard of was to put your feet into a small fish bowl, and the fish would eat the waste off your feet. That's a little unique for Vietnam, I think. I saw families of 5 people riding on a motorbike, and some of the most unusual items I have ever seen were being transported on motorbikes and bicycles, and you'll see them as you watch this video. By going to several cities and villages throughout Vietnam, we saw industriousness of the village Vietnam people. Look out, America, the world of Indochina is on the move. A grim reminder of the Vietnam War was their war museum in Saigon. They won the war, and in the most graphic form, their Remembrance Museum paints their view of the Vietnam War. Among the artifacts in the four-story museum were many displays and photos that showed the devastation of Vietnam. It had quotes from U.S. President Nixon and Johnson, and here is some phraseology from one of many propaganda flyers that were displayed and used in the war. The flyer said in Vietnamese and English, "An end to the war. The American troops must be repatriated. The Vietnam people themselves must settle the Vietnam affair. Don't be the last man to die a worthless death in the last battle in Vietnam." Very, very powerful statements. The War Museum pointed out that about 58,000 American military personnel were killed and over 300,000 were wounded in the war. It was also estimated that 3 million Vietnamese, military and civilian, also died during the war. Yet more than half the Vietnamese population of 78 million was born after 1975 and seems to have a very limited remembrance of the war. A major safety issue for tourists is that since 1975, leftover bombs and mines from the war have killed 10,529 people and injured more than 12,000 in the 6 central provinces alone. A true highlight of the trip was our visit to the 150 miles of Cu Chi tunnels that were used by the Viet Cong. While at a small open glade in the Cu Chi tunnel jungle, we were asked to find a camouflaged entrance to one of the hundreds of tunnels. The entrance was so well camouflaged that it was invisible. Then we were asked if we wanted to go into one of the underground tunnels and walk, like the small Vietnamese fighters, to another opening. We made it, but the guide told the story of another American with a backpack who tried to traverse a tunnel and was trapped in the tunnel and they had to dig him out. They told us the story after we did our tunnel walk. It should also be pointed out that about 1 million Vietnamese have been resettled since 1975. The majority have moved to the United States. As we drove by the the Ho Loi prison, better known as the Hanoi Hilton, we were reminded of the price of war that many heroic Americans paid. It was mentioned that Senator John McCain was given the opportunity to leave his captivity, but he determined to stay until all the prisoners were sent back to the United States. He made a very, very brave decision at that point in time to stay in the Hanoi Hilton. While in Hanoi, we visited the Ho Chi Minh Museum, Mausoleum, and a line of thousands of people were waiting to see the great man's crypt. We also took a junk boat ride and stayed overnight on Hanalang Bay. The bay is considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. It proved to be some of the most beautiful scenery we have ever seen. Throughout the trip, there was construction going on that was indicative of a nation on the move. The buildings including a 73-story building in Saigon and many other 20 and 30-story skyscrapers in Hanoi and Bangkok, Thailand. A waitress said that all of Bangkok has Wi-Fi access. Nha Trang and China Beach has a new massive casino built by an investor from the Philippines, and Cameron Bay has been explored for oil. We had lunch at a 23-story Sheraton hotel built 3 months ago by Australians. The dining room seats 400 diners with 30 staff, and only 2 couples were eating and enjoying the view and air conditioning. I saw a family of 5 people riding on a motorbike, and you'll see that slide as this program unfolds. I think that's about it, and I thank you for your attention, and I hope this is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've had making the video. I've made this at the Apple Store in San Luis Obispo, California. They have some great staff here, and I just want to commend them for their help in making this recording possible. Some great people here, young people, very, very intelligent, and they've made this a real pleasure to have made this video in their store and at home. And I hope you've enjoyed the video.